What's the good word, Josh? Your boy DKB here. We're diving into some off-season news, and I love seeing these tidbits that we get from the players about how they're prepping for training camp, right? With Jermaine Johnson, for example, it was him slimming down as opposed to us seeing him bulk up last year and continuing to double down on his pass rush moves. You had Malachi Corley, who's going to be, staying with Aaron Rodgers throughout the duration of off-season training. Plenty of other players that have mentioned staying within the facility for rehabbing and working out in the facilities, right? And then you get to a guy, Michael Clemons, who's part of one of the underrated battles in this defensive line rotation for a team that sorely needs not only consistent pass rush production, but he's one of the few guys as well that he's not credited enough for that brings elite run defensibility. I mean, when you take a look at what he's done in his first 2 years, he's graded out 75 plus or better for PFF. But outside of that, he's also not a guy that allows a ton of missed tackles. Last year was still a bit of an anomaly, but he still did really, really well in just run defense as a whole. Last year being his experimental JFM type role where they reduced him inside, and he didn't have the strong enough pass rush moves. He didn't have an elite level athleticism to really help him out with these guys that are 20 to 30 plus pounds heavier than him, right? So I won't say it was doomed from the start, but they took a guy that they thought maybe can find some wiggle room inside to help offer some pass rush pop, and it never really materialized for him. So it looks like he's going to be going back to his classic role of just being on the edge and being a strong edge setting presence. But again, that's sorely needed. There's few guys that you look at on the roster right now, Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams really being generally the top two guys for us run stopping on the line. Everybody else is either a question mark or an unknown. It just hasn't really been shown, right? When we talk about the likes of a Will McDonald and other guys that are going to be coming in that are new, like a Javon Kinlaw, for example, right? That has never really been strong in that area anyways. So he does have something working for him in his favor, but he understands that he's going to have to fend off a number of guys this year, and so he's tapped in with a top pass rushing coach in the NFL in Brandon Jordan. And taking a look at him, he has his own off-season training program that he works with. I think I saw he's been able to build it up to like 200 plus participants in any given off-season, which is crazy. But he has experience across the high school, college, and NFL realms. I've seen him more recently with Michigan State, Ohio State, and Seahawks, for example. He comes highly regarded. I've seen a lot of the little shorts and things that he's dropped, and he's worked with some high-caliber names. Von Miller, Rashawn Gary, Ed Oliver, Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt, to name a few. And Michael Clemons will probably never be in the same breath as them in a lot of these pass rush conversations. But if you can tap into that level of talent, even just a little bit, a minute bit of time, right? It'll do wonders, not only for Michael Clemons' career, but his ability to have a more defined role in this offense. Because I do think right now, for those that have looked deep into the defensive line rotation, he really is just a run-setting presence. 3 sacks to his name over the last 2 years, and I think about 10 hurries / pressures. So not a guy that's really known for getting in the quarterback's face like that. But I seen it pop up because he had a video. Brandon Jordan dropped the video anyways of some handwork drills, which, by the way, was being done on a recovery day. And you know how Michael Clemons looks bricked up. The man's pretty much a bronze statue anytime he's out there on the field. But it's impressive enough for me to think that instead of looking at a lot of these pass rush plays where if he gets beat within the first second, he's just looking to make plays in a draw at least, and not get dominated on a rep, he may be able to force some pressure to make a guy have to step up in the pocket a little bit more. So I'm hoping to see that we see this translate to training camp. I think this workout or tapping in with Brandon Jordan anyways has been recent, at least since OTAs officially ended. So we'll see, what a month's work of working with this guy can do for Michael Clemons, but he does have quite a few guys to hold off. Former first rounder Tack McKinley. You have the pedigree, you have the background with Jeff Ulrich there. Then you have the guys behind him. And with this coaching staff specifically on defense, if you're not named, DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, or maybe even Quincy Williams now, you kind of have to look over your shoulder. The staff not only knows how to bring in guys, but they always bring in guys that have exceptional athletic ability as well, and they can find a way to turn these guys into top NFL caliber players, right? And I won't always say top, but we understand what the conversion rate has looked like for this New York Jets coaching staff, specifically on defense. So when you look at a guy like Eric Watts out of UConn that came in and had a dominant OTA, talked about him beating up on Olu Fashanu a little bit, decimating the second string offensive line. There's going to be a bit of a concern there. We know this coaching staff is going to lean into pass rush if all else fails. Then you have the likes of Leonard Taylor, DT. It's a numbers game with him, right? If the staff feels like they can't slip him onto the practice squad or he'll get snapped up, it could be between Leonard Taylor, who again offers a more robust game overall. The consistency and maybe some other question marks are there for him, though. The numbers game could work against Michael Clemons in this instance. So if he can find a way to show up in the pass rush department this offseason, I think it gives the coaching staff a serious conversation to have, knowing he's a lead in run defense and maybe being able to squeeze out some significant enough pass rush reps out of Michael Clemons in a role that he's familiar with, going back to his rookie season and having, having a third year in the scheme. But ultimately, let me know what you guys think. Is it a little bit too late, too bad, too sad kind of situation for Michael Clemons, or can he finally become, more of a foundational piece for this defensive line, even in a rotational role? I'll catch you guys again. Peace.